And today we have a very special topic because the holidays are coming.
Yes.
Right? How are you feeling at the holidays?
It can be 50-50 on the holidays because it's good to see family sometimes, but sometimes there's certain dynamics within the family that can get a little bit more difficult and complicated, and especially if you're hanging out with them for a little bit longer than you're used to, right?
Yeah, and you're not alone.
Yeah.
So this is a pattern that it happens to a lot of us, right? We're excited to see our family, but at the same time, there's an aspect of ourselves that is like concerned about like what is going to happen to my boundaries, or how long can I stay happy, or how long can I engage before I get triggered, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not alone. The holidays brings a lot of those emotions and settled situations that are happening, all those emotional wounds, that basically.
Yeah.
Because when you go home, especially when you go home to your parents' house, you become the child again. Huge, right?
Yeah.
Over here in your own world, in your own space, away from them, you are an adult. But when you go back home, immediately the title of son or daughter goes on.
Yeah.
And therefore, along with that comes all the adaptations that we did.
I feel sometimes it happens to me even before I go home.
Of course. Yes.
Like it's like you're going home, know you're about to hop on a trip, so even before you go, what happens is
the nervous
system starts activating, right? It starts you start going into that mode, and you know what's coming up, and immediately you start dropping into these different protector parts.
You're feeling it right now.
I'm
like, oh my God, my stomach.
I'm literally flying next week. You can sense it, right?
I'm just like, wow, it's intense.
Oh, yeah, it's intense. I'm feeling it now.
I feel all the movement in my stomach right now.
Because it's interesting, because no matter how much I've worked on myself, or how much I've worked on this wound around my parents and certain things, it's not necessarily that they've done horrible things, but some parents have done horrible things, but it's more of a getting into the mindset, right? It's almost like, you go into like a little child baby, like, okay, take care of me, but then that's where a lot of your habits kind of come
all
from.
Of them,
in terms
actually.
of how you react, all of them, right?
All of our habits, all of our adaptations come from what we learn at home in our childhood. So, of course, as soon as we go back home, we're going to default back to what our nerve system imprint, right? Throughout those important years, especially from 0 to 8 years old, when we were learning all of our parents' models of operation in the world, where we learn how to be loved, how to be accepted, basically is what is activating for you right now.
It's kind of like a big thing for me, especially personally, is boundaries.
Oh yes.
Right, because when you go back with your parents, they're used to you acting in a certain way, or they expect some type of behavior from you. So when you go back and you've worked on building up some of these boundaries, it's almost the fear of, okay, it's like test time.
Well, yeah, because you're going to literally, that's the way which you said it, is it's test time, because you're going to literally practice what you have been developing, or what you have been learning, or what you have been healing. And yet, there's a fear, right? Because what's the fear? What would be so bad about you having your boundaries and applying them?
I feel for me personally, it's almost, I'm afraid that my deepest wounds are going to be triggered, and it's almost a fear of, there's a little bit of a fear of like, okay, I've been working on this, and if my wounds get triggered, like, have I actually even progressed? Have I even actually learned? And I like the thing online right now, which is hilarious. There are memes out there where it talks about, spirituality means like the final boss of spirituality is, not facing any demons and everything, is literally going to your family dinner during the holidays.
Well, of course, and the thing is that maybe you're aware of it, or maybe you're not aware, but every one of us, what we fear is the disconnection, right? The disapproval, or the sense of rejection. So we're constantly modifying ourselves in that to be accepted, and so that's the ultimate test, right? Can I still remain connected and yet have a boundary? Can I remain connected with them or feel close and have a sense of uniqueness.
Yeah.
And I think as children, we learn the opposite. As children, we learn that only to have that sense of connection or belonging or acceptance or approval, whatever that belonging means to you, right, was at the cost of rejecting yourself. And so when you move away from home and you incorporate those things that are not accepted at home into your life, and now you gotta go back home and you have more of you, there's always the fear of what is gonna happen. Can I really keep myself, or will they disapprove me in my new wholeness that I have, right? So it's understandable. Again, you're not alone. I'm not alone. You're not alone. We are all in
We're
the
all
same
in this
boat.
together.
This
is one thing that everyone can relate to, right?
Yeah, and so, but there are ways to deal with it, right? Clearly, you say one of them, which is
I want to ask
boundaries.
about that. Like, what are some good practices you can do to
so
kind of help with
first
this,
and foremost, you start with boundaries.
So yes, when we go back to the family, I think a lot of our listeners probably want to understand what type of practices can we do either before or during when we're visiting family to kind of help us with establishing boundaries or helping to deal with triggers or become more aware when you are starting to slip into these protector roles.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully by this time you already have a sense of who you are, right? A sense of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable within you, as in preferences, as in your identity, what you're willing to engage and what you're not willing to engage, right? And within that, degrees of that. So don't wait till last minute to set a boundary when you get there. Like, really think about it before. Like, something you can do is literally say, okay, these are the topics that I am not going to engage with in my family when I am there, and set that contract or agreement within yourself first, right? Also, perhaps ask, are my parents or my family aware of my new version? Who am I, this new person that I am today? Because most of the time they're not updated in all the transformation that you have, right? So that's important also to like consider that. Like, for example, let's say you're going back home and you haven't been home in 10 years, then consider that they're not going to know who this new person is, and so make room for that. But at the same time, if they do touch a topic that is not something that you want to do, or no longer the person you are, you can literally say things like, oh yeah, that used to be me, but today this is who I am, right? It's literally invalidating. Well, maybe let me rephrase it that. No, but, because that creates immediately a friction.
Yeah.
That used to be me, and so important, and consciousness, right? Like, I am agreeing with you, yes, and today this is who I am. Or yes, I used to do that, and today this is what I prefer, right? So that and creates a connection versus the but creates a rejection, right? So and is so important, because in the moment you're validating them and you're updating them into who you are today. So little practices like that literally can make big progress or in connections within the family. So yeah, boundaries is one of them. Remember, boundaries is an identification of who you are. It's not a rule against them. It's, I am Norma, I identify as liking deep conversations, right? It's not against the other person. It's saying, this is what I prefer. I am Norma and I like eating vegetables, or I like fresh juice versus coffee, right? Nothing wrong with you liking coffee. This is who I am today. And so if we're gonna have a conversation over coffee, can we have tea or can we have juice, so that there is not only coffee, right? Because that's the fear. When we when we feel that there is an issue in families, is because we think that I cannot exist as myself, as my individual, and I had to comply with whomever they're asking me to be, which is usually is not something you want. So important that you identify yourself first. Who are you? And to have clarity around that before you even go and have those conversations.
Yeah.
You don't want to have those conversations blindly, because then you're definitely going to get triggered. And the idea here is to be prepared, to know who you are.
Yeah. So I do this thing sometimes too. Like, sometimes it's a boundary for me, certain topics. Let's say there's certain topics you don't want to go and talk about.
Absolutely.
Because you know it's going to bring certain things up.
Yeah.
And you go in with that boundary of not discussing those certain topics. When I do that, sometimes I end up almost compartmentalizing my life in a certain way. So I'm a certain way with them.
Yeah.
And when I do that, I find it interesting. It's an interesting dynamic internally within me sometimes, where I'm wavering between, am I being authentically me, or am I putting on a certain mask just for my family, right? And so it can be kind of hard sometimes, because at some points I feel like I may be betraying parts of myself by not doing this, but at the same time I know that if it's something that they don't understand about me, or it's something that will cause friction, I will end up avoiding bringing that up, just because, let's enjoy kind of the holidays. We don't see each other that often, but is it really worth me bringing this up at this point?
I get it. I totally get it. I mean, again, it's because your nerve system defaults back to the imprint, right? What you grew up with. So what I would suggest is, in those cases, as you consider going, you can literally do a mental emotional exercise where you can just close your eyes and you can imagine yourself being there and start noticing who comes forward to engage. Let's say you do one exercise for mom, one for dad, or one for my cousins or my aunts, or whomever you're engaging, or as a group, right? So I recommend to do each one as a separate, and then find out who or what within you shows up to that party. For example, let's say that if you close your eyes and you imagine yourself at the dinner table, then you can sense who's coming forward, what aspect of myself, the people pleaser, the avoidant, the joker, the responsible. I mean, there's so many protectors. We call those protectors, right? The aspects of you that take over to keep you safe. And so you want to find out who is taking over in that moment, and that's how you know, am I being authentic, or is it a protector taking over because I am perceiving a risk, I am perceiving a danger, a threat, to where a rescuer, a protector is coming to rescue me to perform, so that be acceptable, because that's what we want at the end. The ultimate goal of every moment is to be accepted.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you do that exercise, just visualize that visualization even before you get there. You can identify who's taking over, and then you can do more exercise, even deeper. Like, you can stay present with that, and you can imagine, bring your adult self in talking to this child and saying, you know what, I am an adult today. Let me take care of this. You don't have to handle this. Like inner healing visualization.
Yes.
Yeah. So something like that. You do that, and then you go in, and you comfort the child, and you analyze or review what is the perceived danger, what is the thing that this child is protecting you from, and you take the job from there, because you as an adult have a whole lot more skills than a protector that is usually a child. So then you just basically take the job and say, I got it. I take it from here, and you better take it from there.
Yeah. Is it helpful to do it before you go?
Absolutely.
Right? Like before you go, to sit down with these parts. So, because what I realize sometimes is, if I don't do it before, sometimes when I'm doing it in the moment, that inner child sometimes can get a little angry, right? Yeah. So the rebel might come out, and I realize, and I'm starting to see now too, what happens with me is I will sometimes, that part will act out, and it almost intensifies the trigger when it's coming up.
Yeah, because remember, you're two people or two perspectives all the time. I mean, just take a selfie and take a picture and look at your left side, right side of the face. You're always two perspectives, right? So if there is a protector, you have to assume that there is a wounded child, right? And sometimes when the child is, let's say, being hurt or taken advantage or suppressed or damaged or pain or whatever, right? It's too much, the rescuer takes over, and the rescuer is going to be, depending on what is happening, the rebel could come as in, like, I can't tolerate this, let me make my authority, let me deal with my own. And so it may come up. For some, that may be their first primary mechanism or protection system that they have. For some of us, like me, for example, most likely will be the highly responsible part, right? Where I'll be like planning the meals or planning the trips, or what time are we getting together, things like that. Or for some of you, maybe the smiley mask, right? Like everything makes you happy, even if inside is very uncomfortable. Or even in some cases, the invisible child, the part that just goes and stays quiet, and it's basically invisible in the party and just stays under the radar, right? Are you guys identifying this?
I have the invisible. So I switch sometimes, right? So I have the people pleaser, for sure. But sometimes I have the invisible child where, if, let's say, my mother is getting into something, I will just shrink. I will shrink and just be like, not say my piece, not want to bring anything up, because I'm afraid I'm going to upset her. And when that happens, then what I notice for me is when that happens, other protector parts start
Take
coming
over.
up.
They take
all
turns,
start coming.
yes.
They all start coming in and taking turns.
Yeah.
So I guess a question also too, like if I'm in this, right, and I'm like noticing, because I know more about the protectors and I know more about these parts, when I see them coming up, what is a useful tool for our listeners to help with regulating or bringing you back to a point where you can be aware and pull yourself out of the situation and kind of realign yourself so you're not lost? Because I think one of the toughest thing is once you get pulled back into a protector part, it's easy to get lost in it and forget.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's so many answers to answer that question. Yeah. So many. I guess I would say depend on the situation. Like if you're able to go out, even to the bathroom and have a private moment to just practice breathing, do that, right? To regulate. But if you cannot, let's say you're in the middle of the table and you're stuck and you cannot really get up because whatever function or tradition, because in some traditions you cannot get up from the table.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I will still sometimes. I know in Asian traditions you have to let yourself go, but sometimes I will just go, and especially after dinners, I feel like after dinner, sometimes when the energy is high, I'll just take a walk. I'll be like, what's useful for me, just a little tip, is you're digesting, say you need to go out and take a little walk. It can be helpful.
Yeah, and it could be an avoiding mechanism at the same time, right? So it really depends on the intention. Are you doing it to leave because you don't want to deal with it, or are you doing to regulate, right? To breathe and to understand yourself. So but even at the table, let's say you're at the table and you cannot get up. In that moment, you can just focus on your breathing. You can regulate and ask yourself, what about this? In some situations, it's clearly a violation. It's clearly visible that there is a situation. But in sometimes that you're not aware of that and you're just feeling a reaction, then it's best to ask yourself, well, what about this strengthening that is triggering in me this response? And that response could be literally an emotion or physical emotion or a physical sensation in your body. So I guess the biggest thing that you can do is awareness. Awareness of what is happening in my body, right? To understand. And then you ask, well, what is this feeling or upsetness or emotion or whatever is trying to tell me about myself? Which is always a message of, this is not what I like. But at the same time, if you have that, I'm upset with this, I don't want this, then the next question should be, but what do I want instead? Because that's where you're going to find your answers, right? What do I want instead? And that will give you direction to either provide a boundary, or either to say, okay, I need to step away, I need to move, and I need to regulate, or I need to literally say I'm done for the night, depending on the situation. So I don't want to make it a general rule for everyone and saying, okay, this is what you must do in every scenario, but you can pretty much apply this. For sure, the questioning, like, what about this extra threatening that is triggering in me? That for sure you had to ask, and then is, well, what is this feeling letting me know that I want? And then from there you had to decide, because sometimes, let's say the part says, well, I want to speak my truth. And that sounds beautiful, but are you okay with the consequences of speaking your truth? Because you also have to measure that. Everything has a consequence, so you have to be okay with the consequence that you're going to obtain by speaking your truth. So you have to measure, okay, which one has more value, my truth, or right now perhaps it's in my best interest to be aware of what is happening to me, and maybe I'll speak my truth with my friend or with myself or in my journal, because the consequences are greater than if I stay silent. Right? So you also had to make that conscious awareness. You had to go into that space to really make a choice. Because if you're like, well, no, my truth right now is I need to speak my truth, that could be an aspect of yourself that is not considering the rest, meaning within you or the family, if that's important, and it's just bulldozing the other parts within you that really want or want to maintain those connections. So that's what's so important to see how many within me are against or forward in maintaining those connections or those relationships. So it's a little bit more complicated at that point. It might sound like I'm getting you lost, but it's deeper. But I mean,
that's the thing, because there might be deeper things at play too. Like, and this is something good to touch on too. It's like even making the decision to want to go back to go see your family too. Sometimes that's a big one too, right? Because I know there are probably some people now, especially as it's getting close, where the family might be saying, hey, come and visit us, come see us, but then there's certain truths that you can't speak, or certain parts about yourself that you're still working on that could be detrimental to the family dynamics. And trying to decide whether you even want to go back. That's a good one to maybe talk about.
I think in
too,
that
right?
case, then we'll go even further. I would do the exercise to where, like, what parts of me want to go and what parts of me do not want to go, and why? What are the needs, right, for each column? So let's say I can use these papers as an example. The parts of me that want to go are these ones, and you go here, and the parts of me that don't want to go are these ones, right? Let's say that there's a whole lot more that don't want to go. Then you gotta ask, well, why would I go if the majority of me doesn't? What is the benefit of going, and what are what are the benefits of staying, right? And so start right there. But let's say that there is only two parts, and like one part is like, I don't want to go, but the rest wants to go. Then you focus on the part that doesn't want to go and say, okay, what is it that you're afraid? What is the pain that you're perceiving? What is the threat? What is it, right? What are your needs? And then let's say that the part says, well, my needs, or the reason why I don't want to go is because I don't have a voice, right? And so what is that need? I need to have a voice. But then, okay, so the parts of me that wanna go has to learn or agree to let me have a voice. Maybe not the whole time, but in certain topics, with certain people, right? So I can care for the part of me that feels that it needs to speak because that's the need, right? So it's about that, about taking care of the part of you that doesn't want to do it, or it has the needs at the same time that this one have needs, because clearly the aspects of yourself that wants to go have needs, right? And so it's about creating the harmony, like how can we take care of both without bulldozing each other? How can I go and feel comfortable and feel connected without feeling rejected or betrayal? And in those cases, it's going to be setting a boundary. Most of the time goes back to setting a boundary, where I'm not going to be talking about these topics. If someone wants to talk about this topic, I'm just going to excuse myself and leave. Or if someone wants to directly talk to me and say, okay, I want to talk about when are you going to get married, right? Like most typical family question is like, well, all of your cousins are married. How come you're not? How come you're not in a relationship? Or why are you gaining weight? Or things like that, right? So in those cases, you literally can say, you know what, that's not a topic that I'm willing to engage in. Our connection is really important. Let's connect in a different way, or let's talk about something else, because I really want to make the best of this time. Yeah? It does take a lot of effort, especially on you, because you're the one asking the question, right? Most likely they don't have that question. That's why they're not even considering your needs. Because if they had that question, they would consider the other person as well. So I guess the responsibility goes back into the person that is aware, right? Yeah. With greater knowledge comes greater responsibility.
Yeah,
that's
makes sense,
what that
right?
means. Yeah.
So then you have to be the one conscious about what's going on.
Yeah.
And you have to be the one conscious about your parts and where they're at as well. And
that's why that phrase, I love that phrase, which forgive them for though they know what they're doing. They do not know what they're doing. And it's true, because in that moment, if we understand where they are at, obviously we're going to have a little bit more of understanding and compassion. But obviously you want to make sure you don't do it at the cost of bulldozing yourself, because it's not about justifying their abuse or their neglect. It's about understanding to create some sort of connection, but at the same time you want to respect where you're at. So I mean, gosh, we can go on and on of so many ways. I would say it's very individual for each person. Yeah. But you can start as simple as asking, what part of me wants to go? Why? What are the needs? What am I meeting? And the parts of me that do not want to go, why? What are the pains? And see what can I do about that.
Yeah. What I realized too is not just individual, but also as like culture. It's very important, right? Like,
I guess.
Like as an Asian culture, going back for the family gatherings is a whole nother flavor. And I'm sure with like Latin cultures, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm sure it's like they all ask similar questions, right? That kind of put you into protector parts, right? Like you mentioned too, like, are you, especially as a woman too, right? Like, are you married?
Yeah.
Like they're always like societal pressure, right there. So it's not even just individual family triggering you. It's like the whole culture is triggering you.
Or everyone is society, here, you need to come.
Right? Yeah. And there's the guilt behind it too, right? Guilt is a big thing as well, right? So if like you don't show up, or let's say you're not married and all of a sudden it's like, or you're not even dating anyone, or let's say you've gained some weight, because I know in Asian culture they love to say that too.
in
They'd like
Mexico
to be
too.
like, poke at you and be like, oh,
Yeah.
you've gained weight.
I
Oh,
usually get
yeah, right.
reference to this. Like, whatever. At this point, I'm like,
Right.
whatever. This is part of me now.
And there's like, and you're like subjecting yourself, right, to this type of just for what? For connection, right?
Yeah, for the sake of connection.
For the
or
sake of
closeness,
connection,
yes,
right? This
yes.
closeness, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people, like but then you have to start to question, like, are these the type of connections you really want?
And in some cases, you're going to say, yeah, I'm okay with that question,
Yeah.
because the connection is greater than the pain of the question. In some cases, it's not going to be the answer
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Right? It's going to be the opposite. We're like, no, this is too painful. I'd rather have the disconnect and have the truth to myself. So really, it takes a lot of conscious effort for each individual. What is right for another person may not be right for you. So it's a very individualized process that you have to go through and experience for yourself and discover your truth. But yeah, I mean, when we're talking about cultures, every culture is different. Like, for example, in Asian cultures, they put an emphasis on success and achievement and responsibility for the family, the image of the family, not to mention that, the image of the family, right? Like, you can't make me look bad. Like, your behavior is making me look bad.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally too, it's like that's the whole, almost becoming like an accessory for your family and your parents. And then you kind of lose your individuality at that point, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, as an adaptation, but you don't have to. It goes back to, like, can I go back and recover those aspects of myself that obviously through inner child healing and through shadow work, that can I recover those aspects of myself that I gave up to comply, right? And as an adult, you can. You have the tools. Today we have so many tools. I mean, just here in Samyama, we offer the shadow work workshops, we offer the private retreats, we offer the group retreats, we offer individual sessions. I mean, we offer so much that there is no reason for you not to have access to your truth. But
and having access to your truth and having tools, at least having tools. And I think, a lot of this, what really it is about is when you are going back, it's really having a deep conversation with yourself. Right? And having that relationship with yourself and be like, what am I willing to put on hold, maybe to have this connection with my family, or what I'm not willing to. And I guess at the same time, it really is a good practice.
Yes.
Like, this is a good test. So you should look at it that way too, right?
It is, because what it does, even if you ended up choosing the choice of, let's say, silencing yourself for the sake of the connection, the very fact that you're choosing, you are choosing is already coming from an empowerment place. Versus in the past, you have to silence yourself. That puts you in the victim, which you are, but it puts you in disempowerment. So it's just the fact that you're like, I consciously, and when I look at the consequences, or when I look at the value of what I'm getting, or when I look at the price that I'm paying, you know what, I do actually want to pay the price. I want to stay in that connection in that way. But because you're consciously doing it, now you feel that you're empowered because you're making the choice, and that's the difference. Even if you end up making the choice, the same choice.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's only when you do the exploration and you come to that conclusion from your truth. But if you never go to that conclusion and just continue choosing, that's why you feel disempowered, and that's why it continues to hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the way you phrase that, because now my high achieving mind is putting me in this place where I'm saying, okay, I've done. So, you start the year, you're like, I'm going to do some good inner work. I'm going to work on my parts. I'm going to do all this. End of the year, final exam time.
That's how you look at it.
So I'm going to be like, okay,
Final test.
I've studied all year, and we're going to have a final exam. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to put it to the test. And I'm going to give myself a grade at the end of it, like a little debrief. Okay, this part came up, this worked, this I got a little bit more triggered on. Maybe this is something I need to work on for 2026. So, let's put that in place. So
just be careful not to
going into another part.
another part, right? That is like, oh my God, I have a manager or a fixer, or no, because you also want to understand where you're at and have the compassion for the self that is going through this journey and this transformation. So make sure you have that compassion and understanding for the self as well. Yeah.
That might be the part that's coming in for like high achieving Asian families.
Right.
Like, you're gonna get good grades. Did you get an A+ in your healing this year? No. only an A minus, your healing has failed this year.
Hey, that's a shadow of the culture, right? You just took over. You see, a part is like, no, wait,
It just comes up.
Can't.
Just,
Like,
right?
let me take over. But I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's the fact that you're aware that that is happening. That even in itself is powerful, because otherwise you're like sleepwalking.
Yeah.
You're awake, but you're not really awake. You're like in a trance, because you're in those automatic patterns that it's literally in a blink of an eye where those parts just take over. And it's so simple at the same time to become aware and say, wait, how do I do this behavior? When this aspect of myself takes over, what happens?
Yeah.
It's literally about self-exploration and just
The
being
curiosity
observant.
behind it.
That's
right?
why I
find
say
it is kind of fun too when you notice these parts coming up for you. And one practice we talk about a lot is when these parts do come up for you, you kind of give them names.
Oh yeah.
Right? You give them little like characters.
It's because when you do that, you think like, well, that sounds ridiculous. Yeah, but you're creating a relationship with yourself by giving a name, right? Yeah, because what it does is it creates a sense of like, I got you. Like I have this part of myself, and you're not a stranger. Like even by me giving it a name, it's just already saying you belong with me. You're part
right?
of me.
Almost like you're giving it love, right? It's like, and it's you're like, oh, like I do that too. It's like I have a part. It's like, let's say the high achieving part is like A+ Andy, I call him, right? He comes up and he's just like pops up. Oh, we should do this. Oh, look, we're gonna get good grades. We're gonna ace healing. We're gonna be the most healed possible. And I'm like, okay, hello. Like when it just came up now, it's like, oh, hello, A+ Andy. Like, how are you? What's going on with you today?
The thing is that with that, we don't know when is the end, because we don't know how much is there, right? But if your life, or as a consequence of you doing healing work, your life has to be getting better and better. And like I can see it on myself. My own transformation is so transformative, right? That's silly, but yeah, the progress is the more I see those parts, the more I feel more satisfied, more fulfilled with my life. So it's about that. It's just like, can I see the progress? Can I enjoy the journey? Because we're never gonna finish it.
It really is about the journey, isn't it? Right?
The shadow, right? We don't know what is in the shadow. And the subconscious, I mean, at one point it could be like the subconscious may have like ancestral patterns. Like, and when would you be done? Like, who knows? But enjoy the ride, enjoy the transformation, and definitely live from that new perspective, from that new awareness that you have, and start living life and choosing life from that perspective.
This shadow work, deep inner stuff, is best gift you could give yourself for the holidays.
Oh my God,
Best gift you can give yourself for the holidays.
Definitely was mine. It transformed my life years ago, so yes.
So one thing I do want to ask about with the holidays too is we've been talking a lot about going back and being the child.
Exactly, right?
But both of us are parents too. Like, how do we approach it from the parental side?
Absolutely.
How do we approach it from the parental side? Like, are we putting our children back into I know your children are a little bit older, so mine is 14, but you have older adult children with kids too. Like, how do you avoid putting them back into it, and you being triggered too as a parent and going into the same pattern?
I can tell you it's not easy. My husband sometimes had to put me back in my place and say, hey, you're defaulting into this, right? Because
the mother role, right?
It's not easy, right? But in that moment, you do have to really go back and think, what message am I sending with? Like, for example, it's so easy for me to see my daughter and her baby and say, oh, no, do it this way, right? And it's so easy because you have a positive intention to create something, or to keep the child safe, or to teach them, or to do something. But in that moment, you really have to reflect. Is it more important for my need to teach her how to do something, or her self-esteem, or her self-confidence, or whatever? Because whenever we do something, there's always two messages, like what I'm saying and the message that's underneath, right? And so if I say, oh, no, honey, let's do it this way, that sounds helpful. But underneath, the child or my daughter hears criticism, or may hear like you're not good enough, or may hear like you don't know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing, things like that. So it's so important in those moments to ask ourselves, well, what is my intent, and what is a message that she's hearing, and is that what I want to convey? And I have found myself literally in some moments having to ask my daughter apologies and say, I'm so sorry, honey, this is what I meant, but I know that this is how it landed, and this is not what I want to have a relationship with you. So it does, as a parent, I can tell you, it has been eye-opening to practice some of these things with my kids. And especially the youngest one, he kind of have this version of mom because he's 15 now. So, and it's 15 years since I started practicing all this. So he had the best, per se. The elders, they didn't have it as good because I was the old mom, right?
Yeah.
With the old thinking. And so, yes, I still have a lot of repairing to do. My kids today, they have the green light to come and tell me their frustrations or their, whatever the moment that they're in.
Yeah.
My middle child takes that not advantage, but he really takes that on. And he's like, Mom, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I have. This is the memory, like literally. And sometimes I walk him through the process. And it's like, part of me is like, but I didn't mean, and I had to remember, it's like, Norma, it's not about you, it's about him, it's his perspective. You had to listen to his perspective and just validate that perspective. Yeah. And in many cases, take responsibility. And so as parents that we do this, and when we practice this kind of beliefs or this kind of being, we literally had to take responsibility where we have damage or where we had created the wrong idea in themselves. So yes, it takes a lot of responsibility, but are we perfect? No way.
Yeah.
No way, not even close.
So it really just comes from a place of being aware, being conscious, taking responsibility, because it was like you were saying before, you know better, you've done the work and everything. So having to be the one to be like, okay, it's not about me, it's about them, but also feeling triggers. Yeah. So also for me personally, because I have a 14-year-old son, and I will be going with him to see my parents too. So now I'm in a spot where I'm trying to manage this with him, but at the same time also managing my parts that are coming up as a parent, but also as a child with my parents. So I almost feel like I'm in between. Like, how do I balance the two? And
well, I mean, clearly, like at that moment, not only you had to think of yourself, you had to think of your son, and is that behavior that, let's say, the grandparents are doing, is it directly to you or is it modeling to your son? So that's even more important for you to really get through a hold of your truth and a hold of your boundaries, because if no, what you're doing is being a bystander. By allowing your son now to be abused with the same, right? Exactly. So it's so important that you really take the time to sit down and say, well, how do I feel in these situations? What are my boundaries? What am I going to do if this situation arises in front of my son? How am I going to handle that? Right? And so it's important to really have clarity around the boundaries even more for that reason. Because otherwise, what we're teaching our kids is to continue the pattern, continue the pain.
That's what
so
I want
important to break that tradition. Because that's what makes it generational trauma right there. I mean, it's as simple as that. 3 generations together, and you're okay with the grandparents yelling or the grandparents taking charge, even if, or disciplining, and even if it seems like normal in some cultures, that is totally acceptable. We're just continuing teaching our kids to stay in the pattern.
So they just start picking up the ancestral stuff, even if you have done the work. So it really is good for you to be responsible, to make sure you are very clear about what you are willing to accept or not accept with your children.
Absolutely, especially because, I mean, there are some people that are like, well, I had an amazing childhood, my parents were so loving, my grandparents were loving, blah, 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 right? And they cannot understand the reasoning as to why they feel the way they feel. It's because they witnessed things like that. Because it wasn't directly to them, and it was maybe directly to you, but they witnessed, and so it created trauma in them. So, through neglect or through bystander pain. So there is trauma. So, if you have a reaction and you don't understand, or where is this coming from, I promise you there is a root cause. And most likely it's going to be in situations like that, in ancestral. So it's so important as parents, especially if we are practicing awareness, is that we also consider our kids in the impact that the message that we're asking or giving is.
From them just observing.
Yes,
right?
So wow, it's so much. And again, it's so important also that as you do this, that you also have compassion for yourself, because we don't have it together. I mean, I have some of my life feels good to me, but am I completely healthy? Absolutely no. Am I perfect? Absolutely not, right? So we also had to understand that for ourselves, that yes, we're still in this journey and we're just getting better at it every day, but we're not going to demand perfection from ourselves. And it's important that our kids also know that, like, yeah, I'm working on this, and please let me know if something hurts, because I may have the best intention and I unconsciously may be sending the wrong message. So
that's a good one. I think I might use that, because sometimes I'll catch myself where if I end up, because I'm still at the beginning of this work, I'm working on it as well, with certain things.
Yeah.
So it's like if I get caught in a trigger, it may take me a moment to really pull myself out of it, sometimes a day or so, but then just being aware of it, so when it comes up, I can have a conversation with my son about it and be like, hey, this is what was happening with me. I just want to let you know, this might display a certain situation to you that I don't want you to carry. Actually have a conversation about this is an ancestral thing of ours, or it's been passed down from my parents, their parents to them, from them to me, and me to you, and even if it isn't directly me doing it to you, you might be picking up on this. So
it is so important that in those moments where we're making that awareness, we also acknowledge in the moment, if the child says, "Mom, are you okay?" You can literally say, actually, no, right now in this moment, I'm going through an emotional process and it's okay. I'll work on it, or I'll get to feel and find out my truth. Not to make them responsible, but to validate what they're feeling, because their intuition is already telling them something's not right. Right? And you want to confirm what they're feeling is correct. Something is upset with you, but it has nothing to do with them, right? Like, do not make them responsible for that. Because it's a very fine line again. Like, oversharing with our kids, and then all of a sudden they become our healers or our helpers, and they become the responsible ones, and we don't want to do that. But it's also important to acknowledge that, there is something happening to me right now. I'll be okay because I have the tools, but you know what? You are right, you're feeling something, but it has nothing to do with you. Or, I'll take care of it. Or, let my friend or a grown-up help me. So you don't have to fix it. But yes, you're right, it feels something is off with me. So there is that validation as well. Because kids will know when something is happening to us. Kids will know. And so, we'll have to just validate, acknowledge them. And obviously, we have to do the work when we say that, because now you're teaching them, right? Like, oh yeah, I have the tools. I have the tools to go and find my truth, and you're modeling that for them. And you want to do that because just as easily we model the negative, you can model the positive. So those are amazing opportunities that you have with our kids as parents that have this kind of knowledge. That our kids also get to see how we resolve conflicts, which is so important.
It's
because
very important.
Even today, just earlier this morning in a meeting that I was having, this person said, well, I don't think I ever seen a healthy relationship. I'm like, well, that makes sense why you had no boundaries, right? So let's explore that. And so it's important that our kids see us. Yes, we're gonna have conflicts, but we're also gonna have the resources, right? And the resolutions and the reconnection, which is important, because we're never not gonna have conflicts. We're always gonna have conflicts, and that's the thing that you had to set as a boundary. Like, you had to expect the conflict. The question you need to ask is, well, what am I gonna do when that arises? But prepare yourself so you don't have to wait till last moment when you're triggered. Because why I say this, and I go on and because this is an answer. The reason why you don't want to wait until the moment is because in the moment of the trigger, the part of the brain that is active is not your thinking brain. It's not your brain that makes decisions. It's going to be your emotional, right? What we call the monkey brain. Today, neuroscience tells us different names, but it's what we used to call the monkey name, right? But you want to have access to your frontal lobe, which is all the analytical, the reasoning. You have to have those tools, and you can only have those tools when you're calm. But if you're in the middle of the trigger, that part of the brain is shut down because you're in complete survival. So it's best for you to think, okay, if this conflict happens, what am I going to do? So that you can prepare and access the part of the brain that you really want to have access to. Because if you're in the middle of a trigger, forget it. All your decisions or thoughts are going to be from survival.
And so it's not sympathetic, right?
Exactly.
Nervous system,
So you want to activate the parasympathetic system. So you're gonna, you can do that through regulation of breathing and stuff. But anticipate, and I told people to grade their crap, an acronym, right? Crap, conflicts are Yeah.
I like that one. Okay,
I had to write it down.
Yeah.
But the CRAP, like it's an acronym. So CRAP, right? So conflict, resistance, attitudes, and problems, right? Write it ahead of time so that you can anticipate those things and say, well, what am I going to do if this situation arises? And create 5 different scenarios for each one so that your brain already has a tool of how could I potentially act or behave if this conflict arises, right?
Yeah.
So
it's good.
I'll grab our crap.
I'm going to write Santa a list of my crap.
A crap list.
And my
with
crap
5
list
solutions for 5 solutions for each item in the crap list. Right, because then your brain has already resources.
Yeah.
It won't be just blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's better to do it ahead of time.
That's good. We should have a podcast. We'll have an episode about that too.
The crap
Talking about
thing.
crap.
Let's
We'll have
talk
a
about
crap episode. We'll talk about. We'll have a crap episode. Conflict resolution.
Yes, we need to.
Yeah, we should definitely do one.
Definitely, because that's a topic that yet again.
I think that'd be a big one. That'd be a big one. So.
Yeah, totally.
But thank you, Norma. Yeah, I appreciate
pleasure.
this, and hopefully, everyone, all you have happy holidays. Enjoy your family.
Absolutely.
Enjoy time with yourself as well, and hopefully you guys can come to Bali afterwards, or come during the holidays sometimes too, and come pay us a visit. We can build our own little family.
I have one even better.
Oh yeah, what else?
You're gonna love this one.
Okay.
If you get so triggered, we have a retreat in January and February and March.
Good job, Norma. Plug it. Yes. If your family visit doesn't go well, we can help with that. We have something different.
You see who took over?
The sales lady Norma came over. It's like, by the way, we have some spots open after the holidays.
That's right.
So,
don't suffer alone.
please,
We got the
don't
tools.
suffer alone.
Come, we'll help you.
Yes, I will be coming here too. I will be dealing with my own triggers that have come up. So please come join us.
We have an amazing team to support you. Seriously, really. If you really need support, and if you're in that place where I really need more help that I can do for myself, or that my friends can hold for me, come, and we have the tools. So we have amazing tools team as well to help you support it. So don't delay your own inner healing. Don't delay your authenticity and living from your truth. So we have the tools. There is no need for you to suffer in this day, because everything is available. So we just happen to have some of those tools, and we love it. We're passionate about it. So if this feels like it's something that resonates with you, definitely. We'll have the details.
Contact us. We'll be in touch. You'll probably end up talking to Norma, most likely, or myself, or one of our team, and come join us in Bali. Come hang out.
We're looking forward to meeting you there.
Yes.
Yeah.